Okay. Testing, 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 testing. One, two. What's going on, Lenny?
What up?
What's up?
What's good, yo?
How's everybody doing? Everybody good? All right. We're still waiting for Swivel to come through. He's coming all the way from Brooklyn. I don't know if you guys know. You guys know who Rory is? Rory, he's at a Rory show right now. He's recording Rory's, I guess, album or something. So he has a show in Brooklyn, and he's coming straight from there to here. Hopefully, he brings Rory with him.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, he said he has a good excuse why he's late. He's gonna tell us when he gets here. But this is The Formalities. TheFormalities.com is the website. He says he's 2 blocks away. He just told me. So I go by the name of Klimps. You can follow me on Twitter at Klimps. This is my boy Lenny.
Lenny, it's
He
good.
helped me start this site up. And I used to go to this school in 2008. Back when it was on 34th Street. You guys have it good because this over here, nice.
What was it like back then, though? Was it like an old
Like
building?
the foam, like you know how you guys have the what's it called, defibrillators or whatever for the kick drums and stuff. It used to be just like a foam brick. It didn't look nice as nice as that looks. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
That's dope.
And like I don't know if I don't know if that's the same Neve, but I love that Neve board in there. It is. But well, it's the only Neve, like they only have 2 Neves in New York, like, and that's the second one. Yeah, I mean it's old, but it's a great
honestly,
board.
What is a Neve, though? I'm not familiar with.
See,
like,
he
these
doesn't know.
terms. Yeah, I'm like a
He's
noob to this shit.
he's not my marketing guy. He's the online guy. He knows all the internet shit. He doesn't know audio like that.
Total newbie.
Neve is a board.
Yeah.
It has a lot of buttons that you don't know how to work.
Word. Some other shit.
Yeah. So do you guys like this school? You like going? Yeah. Who are your professors? I used to have AJ. I don't know if you guys still have AJ still here? I love AJ, man. He'll get on your ass. For real. AJ's the man. So what's up, Lenny?
Shit, dude. Got stuck in traffic. Came a little late.
You came late today?
Legislated. Yeah.
So what was
yeah.
you doing?
Huh?
Where were you at today?
Dude, I was working. I was home.
Just chilling?
Yeah, it was busy as hell.
Yeah. So Swivel should be here. Let me go get him, and we'll be right back. Klimps, Klimpse. All right. So I'm gonna go get Swivel. I'll be right back.
Yo, this mic on? Oh, I'm on? We live? Yo, it's the Formalities here, the one and only Cram. Check us out. We here. Podcast. Formalities. TheFormalities.com. Check us out, boy. We on the block.
Word.
Forgot the flowers. Sorry.
All right, we're back. It's TheFormalities, and
What's good?
Swivel finally got here.
I did. Sorry for being late.
Okay. I was playing some of your records today.
Okay.
While you were away.
Okay.
So what do you want?
Which ones?
I played some Tessio. I played some Jay stuff. Fabulous.
Dope.
Beyonce.
Did you play any Rory stuff?
I have Rory stuff. I just wanted to.
That's
Get
where I
that.
was, by the way. Do any of you guys know Rory?
Yeah.
He's like a new, really dope. So he had a show out in Brooklyn. I mixed his EP, and we're working on the record now. So we were just sort of talking about, what we're going to do for the album, what it's going to sound like, and, so I had to wait till the show was done so we could vibe for a bit. So.
Okay, cool. How did you link up with Rory though?
A friend of mine, Denzi, he's got a production. Well, him and his partner David, they're called Day Trip. I don't know if any of you guys know them, but they've put a few records out, and they're going to be putting more out. They produced Cigarette Song for Rory, and asked me to mix it, and I mixed that was the first record that was mixed for his project, and then he had me do the rest.
What was your first impression when you heard that?
He's dope. Like we were just talking about it. Like he really is sort of the new. I mean, it's so hard to say it, but like he's the closest thing to what Andre 3000 was or is.
Okay.
So to me, it's just good music. He has this unique ability to have really dope, cool music, but still has some crossover appeal and still able, like that to me is the perfect recipe for somebody to blow up huge. So I don't, he wants to work on the record early before the label, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm cool with that.
Okay. Testing. Testing. 1, 2. What's going on, Lenny?
What up?
What's up?
What's good, yo?
How's everybody doing? Everybody good? All right. We're still waiting for Swivel to come through. He's coming all the way from Brooklyn. I don't know if you guys know. You guys know who Rory is? Rory, he's at a Rory show right now. He's recording Rory's, I guess, album or something. So he has a show in Brooklyn, and he's coming straight from there to here. Hopefully he brings Rory with him.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, he said he has a good excuse why he's late. He's going to tell us when he gets here. But this is The Formalities. TheFormalities.com is the website. He says he's 2 blocks away. He just told me. So I go by the name of Klimps. You can follow me on Twitter at Klimps. This is my boy Lenny.
Lenny, it's good.
He helped me start this site up. And I used to go to this school in 2008. Back when it was on 34th Street. You guys have it good because this over here, nice.
What was it like back then, though? Was it like an old
like
building?
the foam? Like you know how you guys have the what's it called, defibrillators or whatever for the kick drums and stuff. It used to be just like a foam brick. It didn't look nice. As nice as that looks. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
That's dope.
And like I don't know if I don't know if that's the same Neve, but I love that Neve board in there. It is. But well, it's the only Neve, like they only have 2 Neves in New York, like, and that's the second one. Yeah, I mean it's old, but it's a great
honestly,
board.
What is a Neve though? I'm not familiar with.
See,
like,
he
these
doesn't
terms.
know.
Yeah, I'm like a
he's my marketing guy. He's the online guy. He knows all the internet shit. He doesn't know audio like that.
Total newbie.
Neve is a board.
Yeah.
It has a lot of buttons that you don't know how to work.
Word. Some other shit.
Yeah. So do you guys like this school? You like going? Yeah. Who are your professors? I used to have AJ. I don't know if you guys still have AJ still here? I love AJ, man. He'll get on your ass. For real. AJ's the man. So what's up, Lenny?
Shit, dude. Got stuck in traffic. Came a little late.
You came late today?
Yeah.
So what was you doing?
Huh?
Where were you at today?
Dude, I was working. I was home.
Just chilling?
Yeah, it was busy as hell.
Yeah. So Swivel should be here. Let me go get him, and we'll be right back. Klimps, Klimpse. All right. So I'm gonna go get Swivel. I'll be right back.
Yo, this mic on? Oh, I'm on? We live? Yo, it's the Formalities here, the one and only Cram. Check us out. We here. Podcast. Formalities. TheFormalities.com. Check us out, boy. We on the block.
Forgot the flower.
And I just started handing out flyers for them. I said, how do I get in? I started handing out flyers and doing all that stuff. And eventually, a few months later, they said, all right, you want to DJ? Go ahead.
Wow.
That was sort of like, I guess, a favor for...
Were you Swivel, like,
at
that moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before I ever had a gig, yeah.
What's up with Kiss 92? Did you move over to Kiss 92 after that?
So yeah, that was at a different nightclub. How did you find that?
I have my ways.
Okay. All right. Kiss 92 was the top pop radio station in Toronto at the time, and they had mixed show stuff in the evenings. And I was DJing a party at, I think it was Karma nightclub, and it ran for like the summer, 10 weeks or something like that. And every week it was on Kiss 92. So I wasn't a regular DJ on Kiss 92, but that party was live to air.
Broadcast that party.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and Baby U at a time actually was, he was sort of my mentor a little bit as a DJ. He's really dope. Even today, he's my favorite DJ.
Okay.
He's just really great. So he had a regular gig on Kiss 92. He was one of their DJs.
Nice. Yeah. Do you guys know Kiss 92? A little bit.
Really? In Toronto? It shut down like 10 years. I think it's actually come back now. But I've been in New York for 10 years, so I'm.
I grew up with a family of DJs. So
Okay.
I know,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made that transition go from there to engineering and?
Okay, so engineering. I knew I wanted to work in music. I had graduated high school. I had started doing production in high school. I had a really great high school experience. My music class was a computers and music class. Everything was technology based. So we had keyboards and Cubase and all that stuff. And we got to really try making beats, and they all sounded awful. But that was my first experience making music, and this was while I was DJing. And so I graduate high school, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I was blessed with a supportive mother who didn't tell me to go be a lawyer. Even though I love to argue and everybody said I should have been a lawyer. She just said, do what you want. And I went to Fanshawe in London, Ontario, which was like sort of the best music program in Canada. I didn't get in the first year to the music program. It was so small. They only let 30 students in.
Wow.
And then the next year, I just said, fuck it. And I went to Full Sail.
Yeah.
I had wanted to go to Full Sail the whole time, but it's an expensive school and whatever. But we finally figured it out. I went to Full Sail, and I knew I wanted to live in either New York or LA. One of the things they teach you there, and I'm sure they teach you here at SAE, is move to the city where the artists that you want to work with live and work. So for me, at the time, urban music was really my biggest sort of influence, and I wanted to work around that. So New York made the most sense.
Okay.
I moved up to New York, and within a few months, I landed an internship with Duro, who owns Desert Storm Records.
Yeah.
And also one of the best mixers, certainly in hip hop, to ever do it. And a great mentor to me, and been a close friend of mine for the last 10 years, basically.
So when did he leave you in the room to run your own session? Like, did that ever happen?
All the time, because the way that it worked, so I got this internship, and there was 3 of us at the studio. It was Duro, his assistant, and myself. And I was basically taking the trash out, going on runs for artists. They would need a sandwich or whatever they want. And then a few months after that, his assistant took a job with Corey Rooney, and I sort of inherited the assistant position, but we didn't hire really an intern to go below me. So I was sort of interning and assisting at the same time. So I'd be in on his sessions, and I worked with like Puff, and I mean, everybody came through. I remember my first day.
What was do you remember the first session?
The first session was a Fabulous and Styles P session. It was the remix for Mariah. Clue produced a remix for Mariah on the Emancipation record, We Belong Together remix, I think. And my first day, Fab and Styles P came in and cut that. So
what was your impression of basically?
I wasn't in the
process?
room. They came in, and I was out in the lounge cleaning up, basically. I mean, literally, that was what it was.
It?
And then Fab being Duro's artist, he would come in semi-frequently. He did a mixtape that year that, he had an engineer, and then I don't know where that person went, but we had built a rapport. He would, it starts, you come in, you get a head nod, and then, maybe he walks by you, go into the bathroom and says a joke or something, see something on TV. Like, that's really how it starts, is just being around in the room, and then you build a relationship. And then 7 months into my internship, when he started working on From Nothing to Something, I was the only one there. So I had already recorded him actually before then, just not paid.
That's convenient.
Once the album started, Duro said, I actually asked Duro, I said, I've worked unpaid for 7 months now. Give me something. And he let me, he had enough confidence. Yeah, but he was around. It wasn't like he just said, he wasn't recording it, but he knew that I was capable of handling a recording session. I'd spent 7 months around him. I had learned a lot already. That's not how it normally happens. So I know a lot of people who have been assisting for a long time. I got very lucky, and I was sort of in the right place. But I worked hard. I was doing 120-hour weeks unpaid, and that's kind of difficult to do in a city like New York.
How did you survive by not getting paid?
I had saved up money in high school, and my mom helped me out, and I basically said I think I'd saved up like $12,000 in high school from just working somehow. Wow. And I said, okay, I'm going to spend every penny that I have, and whatever I don't have, just can you cover the rest? And she did for the first year. And once I started, I was in New York for a year, and that's when I started getting paid. And my rent wasn't very much at the time, and my expenses were pretty low. So that pay covered my my expenses, and then I was off from there.
So how did the transition come from like pretty big artists like Fab to major artists like Beyonce and things like that?
That's just being in the room, and the way that worked is Omar Grant, who's now an A&R at Rock Nation, he's like Rihanna's A&R. He was working at, I think it was EMI at the time in publishing, and he was friends with Lenny S., who was Fab's A&R, and they would always be around. And I knew his girlfriend at the time. Like, we just knew each other, and he was around. And he used to work with Destiny's Child on the road or something. So I guess she needed a fill-in for the day, and somebody on her team reached out to him. Do you know somebody we could use in New York for the day? And he reached out to me, and I was available. Wow. So I went in, and then she kept bringing me back.
Nice. Yeah, what was the creative process like working with them? Is it like organic, or did you go into the studio and had like their idea already with them, like your artists? Like
with any artist like that.
With Fab, it's it's sort of what you would expect of a hip hop session. There's a lot of people around. Some people are drinking, some people are smoking. I try to keep that out of the control room, although it's not possible all the time. And Fab, he'll come in, he'll hang out, he vibes with his friends, and he'll have a beat on loop, whatever he wants to work on that day. And then whenever he's ready to record, we record, and those are really long days, because keep in mind I was juggling assisting Duro, because I never wanted to leave him hanging. He still needed me to. He's mixing every day, so I would come in at maybe noon. Duro would mix until maybe 8 p.m. Then he would go home. Fab would come in at 9. I'd do a little cleanup. Fab would come in at 9. Then we'd work till 6 in the morning. Then I'd go home and sleep for a few hours. Wow. Actually, before I went home, I would have to clean up the whole studio. And trust me, when there's that many people in the room, it's always
I was at a studio
dirty.
session last week, and they were shooting a music video while recording, and they wanted me to DJ, and the assistant engineer over there is going crazy. He's got to clean up champagne. He's got to do everything.
Yeah. And keep them. When you're at a big studio, there's usually a few GAs, and you can bring people in and get some help.
Yeah.
I was completely on my own. When Fab left, I'm by myself to, back up the session, set up Duro's session for the morning, because there's no way I was getting in there before him. He wakes up early. So make sure his whatever he was mixing was set up, prepared for him, which is like, naming tracks, making sure they're all in the right order, bringing his like effects in and all that, getting the session ready so he can just open it and start mixing right away and not have to worry about organizing it. Once that's done, then do a full cleanup, vacuum, wipe down all the surfaces, and then go home and get a few hours sleep, wake up, and come right back.
Wow.
Like there was and this was for the whole album, the whole process of his album. And while we were recording his album, we were also working on Clue's album, Professional 3, and then other things that just would pop up randomly, various projects.
Cool.
Most of which, I'm sure if I went back and looked, I could think of them, but yeah, there was always something.
I read somewhere that you think that artists are becoming marginalized.
In headliner.
Do you still think that?
In some ways, yeah, but then you see an artist like Rory who's so unique and honest about who he is and what he does. The business is changing, right? There's still a big business in pop music and sort of the things that the label want. But then you have these other artists like Rory who are kind of doing it on their own and building their own career, developing themselves, and sort of going against the grain of what the labels are doing. And I can't remember where I heard I was watching the, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, the 30 Seconds to Mars had a Artifact documentary or whatever. Okay. And somebody in that said, some artist is going to figure it out and sell 100 million records and change the business. And I really believe that's going to happen. Somebody is going to come, not need the label, do it completely on their own. And by the way, some have already. Like Macklemore did a lot of it on his own. He just sort of outsourced things to the label that he needed. Yeah, I think what it means is now artists have an opportunity to sort of do it themselves, ignore what the label does, and now with the internet and just the way that music gets out there, anybody can put something on iTunes now. Yeah. But 15 years ago, not anybody could put their album in every Virgin Records or whatever wherever you'd buy CDs. So
Sam.
Yeah, So the business is changing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's it like to work with somebody like Kanye West in the studio with him?
Kanye is super dope. Obviously, it shows in the records. Really focused. He knows what he wants. He understands what he's doing. He's not what everyone paints him out to be as like this asshole, and like he's not a mean person. He's never been, mean to me in the studio. I've been in the studio with him. A number of times, but I was never his engineer or anything. But I did record him. There were a few things with him, like All of the Lights, Dream did the hook on that, and that was actually in a Beyonce session. Kanye came in and we did that. So he's always been he really cares about his art and he's passionate about it.
Yeah.
So that's that was the one word I would use.
He just barged in a Beyonce session and said,
"No, we needed him to." Well, kind of actually.
I can picture.
No. We I don't even know if anybody's told this story, but we were working on her DVD, and he had to come in and like just touch up a vocal. He had a part in her DVD. I think it was the Ego remix or whatever. Okay. And he came in to just recut a part that maybe, I think there was some audio was lost or it didn't sound right or whatever it was. And he came in, he did what he had to do, and he said, "Oh, let me just play you some of my record." And so we're like, okay, cool.
That's how it starts.
Dope. And like he didn't play one song, he played like all the songs.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that's how it starts.
Right. And then Dream was in the other room. We had 3 rooms going. So normally B and I would be in a room, and then Dream, who was there for a lot of the record, would have his room, and Shay Taylor, who was a producer on most of the record, would have his room, and it was sort of a factory. And he was like, somebody go get Dream, and they called Dream down, and then he's like, yo, I think you could do a dope hook to this. Like, give me something. And he just like, all right. And he wrote the hook for All of the Lights.
That's right crazy. That is crazy.
Hell yeah.
So one thing I will say, Kanye was asleep when it happened. No, I'm not joking. He actually fell asleep while it was happening.
He woke up and was like, "This is a hit."
And it was funny. It was funny because as Dream is in the booth, he just dozes off, and then as soon as he fell asleep, the people there was like 2 people with him, and they passed out too. Because you could tell, like, he works so hard. He's so passionate about what he does. The man does not sleep. I would imagine. I don't know how it is now that he's got a family and whatnot. Maybe he still doesn't sleep, but at that time, yeah, he just knocked out while Dream is coming up with the hook, and so he woke up. Obviously.
That's awesome. What's it like to work with? I keep messing this guy's name up. Tiesto. Yeah, I mean, he was cool. He seems
he
like
actually
a
wasn't
mellow
really.
person.
He actually wasn't in the studio. It was his management. But then I did meet him, at one of his shows. The management invited me out and said, "Yeah, come and hang out with him." That was an interesting thing. Like, just a friend of mine knew the management, and they needed somebody to mix part of the record, and I think it was like 4 or 5 songs. So that was they just gave me the sessions, and
we've been interviewing a lot of engineers, and like Basie Bob, we know, and Chris Geringer.
Very good friend of mine. I actually reached out to him because I saw his podcast. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, like, they asked interesting questions. Like, definitely go do it.
So like Chris was telling us, like, he gets a lot of work sent to him. Is that like the new thing? Like, all engineers are just getting work sent to them, or do you think the sessions are better?
No,
when the artists are there?
Absolutely. Definitely in the last year. Sorry. Most sessions that I'm mixing, a lot of it I'm doing at home. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to spend $2,000 a day on a studio, spend 2 days mixing a record. Most budgets aren't really there for that. For someone like B, of course it is, but for everyone else, you have to cut costs. It's just the nature of the
But do you think the records sound better when the artists are there as the whole process is going on?
During the mixing or recording?
During everything.
Well, I would hope the artist is there when you're recording them. But yeah, during mixing, yes and no, because sometimes the artist isn't the final. I mean, usually they're the final word, but in some cases, the artist cares less about the mix, and maybe it's the producer who you're working with, or the A&R who you're working with. Like, it's not always the artist who's hands-on in the mixing stage. But I mean, for me, I don't really care. Like, I can mix a record and send it, and I'm cool just emailing it out, and they can listen to it in their car, in their whatever studio they're in, and give me feedback. And very rarely do we not get it right.
Okay.
In fact, we never don't get it right. Sometimes it takes a few more tries, maybe, but I mean, I'm okay with that. It's
nice.
It's just part of the.
Were you there when Jay-Z was recording? Or did you?
I cut him on a few things, actually.
Is the myth true?
What, that he doesn't write?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't write.
So
That's crazy.
How do you think? All right.
He writes, but he remembers it. He just writes in his head.
How do you think he writes it in his head? Do you think he remembers a bar and then he's like, I'm going to say this bar after, or maybe I can say this bar, and then like?
Yeah, I mean, so I record him on a few things. I did Oceans on Magna Carta. Him and Frank, we all did it the same day.
Does Frank write?
Frank wrote that.
Oh, he wrote.
Frank's an amazing writer. He wrote on B's record. He's amazing.
Yeah.
So when we cut that, and then also Talk That Talk on the Rihanna record, I did that verse.
Okay.
He'll put a basketball game on or football game on or whatever it is. I think it was college basketball at the time. And the beat will be playing, the game will be on mute, and he'll just sort of watch the game and sort of be
and think of the rhyme.
Nodding his head and figuring it out. And it's not like he jumps in the booth in 2 minutes. Like, he spends time. He really thinks about what, I mean, we all know Jay. He's like the best lyricist ever. I mean, most people would think he's certainly top 5.
I mean, he doesn't write the rhymes. He just says them. He doesn't write it down.
He doesn't write it, but he's writing.
I mean,
in
but
his
some
head.
artists, they're the best readers in the world. Like,
Okay, so think about it this way. One thing that when I was doing a lot of recording, and I do a lot less recording now. I do it for certain artists who I really like, or if I'm passionate about a project. But it's if you write something down and then you're focused on reading it back, even if it's in a iPhone or whatever it is, you're more focused on reading than actually performing. So with Jay, he doesn't have to worry about reading it. He knows it, so he can get into the record and worry about, how do I want to enunciate these things? What words have the emphasis? What how do we make this flow fit perfectly? He's focused on the performance of it because he already knows. He's memorized it. So to me, that's a better way to do it. I always prefer artists to know what they're recording before they record it.
Definitely.
Because then we don't have to record it again later when you finally memorize it and know it better.
Yeah.
And I know working with a lot of top artists got you to getting a Grammy. How was that like? What was the experience of that?
So that was what B, like, she for Love on Top, she was it, best R&B, contemporary R&B performance or something. The Grammy categories they change every year.
They get weird.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
Contemporary, whatever. So that was just, I mean, it's a great. I've been nominated a few times, and that was the one time we got one, and it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make a difference. It didn't change my life in any way, other than you get to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like making records. It's like it's
Word.
nice to be, But really, she won the award. It wasn't like
well, you got one.
Yeah, but it was,
Yeah, it's a check.
Yeah, it's a check.
So what was the toughest session for you?
Toughest session. I don't know. Tough in what way? Like that I didn't like it, or just like very draining, or something?
Very draining.
I've had
it was
sessions
probably there for hours, too long.
So I've had there's a few that I can remember off the top of my head. Fab, we did a 67-hour session. Now he did leave for periods of like 3 hours where I would get like a 1 hour nap, but I didn't leave the studio for 67 hours. This was at Sony Studios when it was still open. I was showering at the studio.
Wow.
I lived there and I had no idea. The only reason we left is it was Thanksgiving, the day that we left.
Oh, so this is like the anniversary of that session.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is what, in a few weeks,
like
right?
next week.
Yeah, so
like 2 weeks from
this
now,
would have been 2006 2006, but around Thanksgiving. That was a long one. The longest that I didn't sleep was a Beyonce session. We were mixing the I Am World Tour DVD. There was a crazy deadline. Another mixer had started it. She didn't like it. And there was a lot of things to fix, like the audio that was recorded. It was from O2, and there was like a day of audio missing. We had a lot of work to do. The crowd mics weren't mic'd properly. And so we had a lot of work to fix.
Did she sit with you through that whole thing?
She was there in the beginning, and then obviously she left. I really didn't need her around. They had a deadline, and it was sort of thrown on me. I've never mixed in surround before or anything like that. So I was learning on the fly, and just this is sort of what you do. You get thrown in the fire and see if you can sort of figure it out.
That's crazy.
And I was mixing straight, and don't by no means do this if you try to avoid it if you can. But it was like a 42 or 44 hour mix session, and I was at that point I was just excited and sort of running on adrenaline. As soon as I left, I was a zombie. I was done. But the one session that I really comes to mind, and this is not a bad session anyway, but it was a long one. It was 36 hours with her, and she was there the whole time and sang 6 songs.
Wow.
Like 6 full songs, backgrounds, leads,
Wow.
comp vocals.
Was
She had meetings
recently?
with video directors. Like,
Was that recently? That was for her.
no, that
Beyonce?
was on the 4 album.
Oh, okay.
I only worked on one song on the last record.
I heard she did that album in 1 week.
Which one?
The 4 album. I heard she recorded and did that whole album in a week. No, it's a myth too.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we spent a year on that record. Over a year
Really?
on that record. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The lies that people.
The
tell.
lies.
Yeah,
That's
all.
crazy.
Yeah. What are some tips and advice you have for beginners in like the audio engineering producing game?
Sorry. Tips. I mean, for me, everyone sort of finds their own way and has a different path on how they get to where they're going. For me, what I found to be the most valuable asset to me was just working for free and never complaining about it, never asking about money, sort of waiting for that. Like, people see the work that you're putting in. And eventually, you know, that hard work will pay off. So, I mean, I think it would be really evil for somebody to have you work a year unpaid and then like get rid of you as soon as you know. So for me, it was, how do I be as valuable as I can? And I knew that with the money that I had, and you know, I had a little support from my mom, I could get through a year in New York without having to make a dime. My expenses were, like I said, they were low, and that's sort of how I worked it out. So I said, I'm going to work for free until something happens. And there was always like little gigs that would pop up. I remember this producer, Chink Santana. I don't know if any of you guys know him, but he produced like some Ashanti records and like big records.
Yeah.
He was like super generous with me. I remember he gave me like $600 one day in cash, and I had like never seen. I mean, I had seen $600 before, but
Yeah.
you know, it was the first money that I made, like real money that I made doing what I loved. That wasn't working at McDonald's, which I did when I was in high school. So,
Is it better than the Grammy?
at the time, it felt pretty good. You know, it's like, you know, it's a ladder, right? There's different rungs. So, but yeah, for me, it was just be as valuable as you can be. So I never slept. I wanted to be in the studio 24 hours a day. I didn't want to do my 8-hour shift and leave. Now, I didn't really have the option. I had to be there. But some of you might get jobs in regular studios and they have you on an 8-hour shift. Like, try your best to be around at all times. Because when you're around and somebody else isn't, maybe they need an extra person. Maybe you're assisting and B's in the room or J's in the room and they have a writer coming in, then they need you to work on, you know, something in the other room with a producer or whatever. But they only have one engineer there. Who else can do it? You're the person there, so you're gonna step up.
Definitely.
And that's how you might get your first credit, and that might turn into more and more. And then the owner of the studio says, "Oh wow, you know, I didn't know that they were going to be on this, but they did it and they did well, and you know, let's put them on more sessions." So be as valuable as you can is what I would say.
Nice. Your production.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have a lot of production credits that I've seen. I don't know where they are.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of production. I do a lot of writing. You know, like on Beyonce's record, there was songs where a lot of the drums were me and things like that. But I definitely write and produce, and I have, you know, things that have come out like independent artists or whatever. I have a record with Fabulous, like Deep Pride, and you know, some other people like that.
Nice.
But yeah, that, you know, production is still a goal, and
because you're
you know, it's a
remixing records
process
now, right?
I've remixed some records for labels and or things that I did, and then you know, I just put out for fun, and
Yeah. Do you want to go more into producing? You try to go into that side?
I mean, I've always been a producer. The engineering just sort of happened as a result of being around Duro.
Okay.
And engineering made me a better producer. And now I write records and, top lines and melodies and things like that.
Nice.
So that's definitely a part of what I do. I still love mixing. I would say I juggle mixing and production equally at this point. But like, for example, on Rory's project, I'll get the songs and then I'll say, no, these drums aren't right. And I'll redo some drums. And I mean, I'm changing sounds when I'm mixing all the time. Not because anybody's asking me to, just because I think it sounds better. And they more often than not, they'll keep my drums on it as opposed to going back. I'll normally send 2 versions. I think this one maybe it needed some drum work, so I did some stuff. Let me know what you think.
Okay.
And if they don't like it, it's simple. I have the other version, how it was. But in most cases, they seem to like it. So I do a lot of that. And
nice.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, what's your favorite record? Before I ask the audience for some questions.
That I ever worked on?
Yeah, that you probably
that I
still
mixed
listen to.
Or that I
whatever you've done. What is something that you really like? You always go back to as your thing.
The one record that I worked on that I'm probably the most proud of, and I really just I assisted on the mix for it. Was Empire State of Mind, just because it was Jay's first #1 record, and it was just such a huge song.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of records that I love. I mean, there's a song on Rory's EP called Superfly, which to me is a brilliant record. And School and Life on B's album was, I fought for that record to be on the album. She wasn't even going to include it. And it ended up being a bonus. And then when she re-released the record, it was on the album. So, there's a few songs that come to mind.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it to the audience. Anybody have questions here?
Unless you got another question, last question.
I'm all set right now.
You're good? All right, go ahead, walk. He's going to come around and you just say your name and you can ask your question.
1-1. Yeah. I'm Boyan, and I have a question. I mean, obviously, Beyonce's record 4 has very good drums and they sound big. So what kind of microphones did you use recording those drums, and what kind of miking technique did you use for recording the drums on number 4 on Beyonce?
Well, some of the drums, a lot of them are programmed, but we did do a lot of live drum recording. I think I had, it might have been a traditional setup that a lot of you guys use. I think it was a D112 on the kick, 57s on the top and bottom snare, like Sennheisers on the toms, overheads. I think I was using. It would change. Sometimes it would be 87s. Sometimes it would be 414s. I'm trying to remember. Some of these are details that I don't remember. We usually recorded them all through Neve 1073s. A little bit of EQing on there. Trying to think.
And what kind of technique did you use? Like stereo miking technique, obviously, for the overheads.
I would have just overheads, just like XY or just separated. And then in the room, sometimes it would just be like a stereo. We were using a C24, just a stereo in like a XY pattern. And it wasn't anything overly complex or whatever. Because keep in mind, none of those songs, except for maybe 1+1, all of them had programmed drums on top, so it would be layered. So in most cases, the programmed drums are in the forefront. I think the only exception to that was maybe I Care, which did have programmed drums, but the live drums really sort of made that jump out. So the programmed drums took the front seat when it came to the rhythm stuff happening. Yeah.
And one more question: how much of pre-production do you actually do approaching, let's say, that kind of session? I know, I mean, basically for Fabulous's or Jay-Z's session, it's hip-hop and it's instrumentals
Two
that you
tracks
just
and
get and you start to record.
Yeah.
But for sessions that are a little bit bigger, let's say like Beyonce's record or any other record where you would use something that's being recorded in terms of instruments, how much would you prep for that or not? Throughout your career, I'm not talking about just the last year, but in general.
Well, it depends on how the session's going. Like, you sort of just roll with the punches. With B, if she wanted to do drums, we didn't know ahead of time. She would just say, I think we need live drums. Let's call the drummer. Okay, drummer's going to be here in 20 minutes. Get set up. And she might do a meeting, and we'd be setting up drums. So it's just everything was on the fly, just accommodating her. She really produced the record. She's really hands-on. It's not like she's got producers in there who are telling her what to do. I mean, there's producers in there, and they all have a voice, but really she is, hands-on on everything on the record. If we have a horn section, she's there saying, no, I like that better than that. Like, she's there for all of it. Wow. So it's just, doing what she wants. In other cases, you're prepared. Okay, we're coming in to do live drums today. So let's think, what type of drum kit do we want? What type of snare do we want? So yeah, it really just depends on the session, who it is, cool. What they want. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Gotta put it around the sky.
Victor Garcia, and you obviously DJ'd, you've produced, you've engineered. What was the best place you've DJ'd and engineered at?
Well, I haven't really DJ'd in a while. It's more of a hobby than anything. Best place I've DJ'd. I did a few, like at the government. They would have parties there with, 6,000 people. I mean, it was a massive, massive place. So I remember I did a 50 Cent G-Unit after party, like when In the Club was like the biggest record out. And I had like Who Kid was there behind me, and like Young Buck was there, and Banks, like everybody was there. And that was it was just wall to wall people. Yeah, that would be the DJ thing. And then, sorry, what was the other?
Engineering. Where was the best place you've engineered?
Best place. Oh, that's actually that's a much more interesting question for me. One thing great about working with B is you get to sort of travel the world in many ways. And we worked in this place called Real World, which is Peter Gabriel's studio. It's outside of London. It's about an hour and a half outside of London, in the middle of the English countryside, sort of northwest of London. And it's in a place called Box. It's outside of a town called Bath, which oddly enough I've actually been to before I ever worked with her, but never been to the studio. And we worked in his private room. And it's sort of, best way I can describe it is it's like a old English, like, not castle, but just like really old looking buildings there's like a pond there, and, you're surrounded by the forest and all this stuff. And there's so Jay and Kanye were doing Watch the Throne in one room. We were doing 4 in the other room. There was a chef there who would cook a big dinner for everybody, like 30 people at this giant table, and then they would invite us outside, and they do like a private fireworks show for us, and it was a really spectacular.
And did you get to sleep over there, like in that castle?
No, I slept at the hotel that.
So they slept in the castle, and they sent you.
No. I was in the same hotel that J and B were in. I think Kanye's team actually did sleep there.
I would,
because there was accommodation, but there were so many people, there wasn't accommodation for everybody there. Yeah. But it wasn't a castle. It was. Look up Real World Studios.
Okay.
You can look it up, and in England, and it is if you ever get the chance to record there, go. It is a really cool place to work. Yeah.
Nice.
Is that the same building where they had the documentary for the Watch the Throne?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
right?
mean, yeah,
Okay,
they
word.
were. I mean, I think that documentary was in a lot of places. I know they were in the Mercer Hotel for
Yeah.
some of the recording. We went to Australia for some of it,
Which never
we
came
had a-
out.
It never came out.
Documentary?
I know they were
I mean, there's
filming.
like a
It just-
20-minute video on it.
It's like 10 minutes,
the
but they
full-
leaked it. But they have a full documentary that never came out.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll see the light of day at some point.
Word.
But yeah, it was in real world. Part of it. We were
Nice.
there for a few days.
Nice.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Anyone else have
So-
questions? Word.
All right, we'll take the last two and then. Yeah.
Growing up, what were some of your greater influences?
I mean, to me, like Michael Jackson was always my biggest musical influence, and as I got older and more into hip hop and whatnot, like Jay, Jay was like, I'm still a huge fan of Jay. So being able to work with him was a great moment for me.
So my question, so like, I know you spent a lot of hours in the studio, like for that 667, and like I just want to know, like, how does your health come into play? Like, are you a vegan?
No, I'm not a vegan. No, but that's actually a really good question because it does take a toll on your body. I mean, you need the next day to recover, and I remember when we did the Beyonce session that was 36 hours, and she sang like 6 songs. We were like shooting 5-hour energies every 5 hours probably. And, I didn't read the label. You're only supposed to have one of those every 24 hours or 2 at the most.
I've never had one.
Yeah, don't even start. I must have had 5 or 6, and I paid for it the next day. I was actually like violently ill. She left. The next day I had off. I'm feeling okay. I went to a party.
Then party right
Not
after.
like a club or anything. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't. It was just like it was actually like a family gathering, if you will. Not my family, but a close friend of mine's.
Yeah.
And at around 11 o'clock, I wasn't feeling so hot, and I was just like, I gotta go. And this was in Jersey, so I took a cab home, and I got home and I had like these violent shakes, and I was freezing cold and sweating. Like, it was not good at all. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely takes a toll on your body. You got to take care of yourself. That was just me being stupid. But you have to sort of deal with it. It's better to do it young. I don't do those sessions anymore. I'm not doing a 36-hour session. I've done it. I've had that experience. I'm not recording as much as I was. Now I'm focused on. I have so many other things. Like where you read in Headliner magazine. Like, I'm a co-owner of Headliner magazine.
And what is it?
MSIG. Yeah. So I have a few other ventures that are taking up my time. Headliner is one of them. We launched this magazine in January with my friend, a writer, Paul Watson, and we're in print. We're online. We have a lot of great sponsors. Wave sponsors us, and Digico, and a lot of people like that. And so that's going well. And then MSIG. I just got involved with the company. They wanted help with doing endorsement deals, and I helped secure this endorsement deal for Rick Ross and a few others now since then. Jonathan Chebin, who's from Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and on the Vitasig side. So I sort of am juggling music and business at the same time, and like with MSIG, I've taken on a pretty substantial role there. I deal with that stuff, I mean, every day, definitely every day. So it's sort of balancing my time, but I'm still mixing records every day and working on music every day. So, yeah, that doesn't leave me a lot of time to record anymore. So the beauty of mixing is I can wake up, I can mix early, I can get business done in the afternoon, I can mix late. I'm not afraid of working a long day. But now I get to do it on my own time. So, exactly, yeah. And I don't have to be there. When you're recording, you're on the artist's time. When you're mixing, you're on your own time. Same with production, and so now I've made a conscious effort to be my own boss, and I show up, well, whenever. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, I work when I want to.
Yeah.
So
what are you excited for to come out that you've been working on?
I mean, honestly, I'm not just saying that. Like, Rory to me there's something really special, and I had never seen him perform until tonight.
Did you do God's Whisper?
That was the one song I did not mix on that EP. But a great record, by the way. Great record.
When I first heard that, like, I started following that kid from then on. I was like, this kid is gonna go crazy.
And when I watched him perform tonight, it just solidified it that much more. Like, you see him on stage, and he has everything he needs, and he's so sure of who he is as an artist and what he wants to do, who he wants to be, and what message he's trying to get across. Some artists never figure that out, and he's really got a good handle on what he is. So yeah, I'm really excited for him. I think he's gonna have a big year.
Anybody else?
I mean, there's always things that pop up. I'm trying to think of what albums came out this year that I was really excited about.
Any producers that people should be looking for?
I mean, definitely these guys, Day Trip, are dope. Producers, like, I'm trying to think of, like, who's the new. I mean, a lot of the stuff, to be honest, I don't even know who's producing now. Like, I find a lot of the music that I'm listening to, I just go on Hype M and go through that stuff, and I find so many cool artists, and a lot of these artists are young and they're not huge or anything like that. So if I hear something dope on Hype, sometimes I'll just find them or reach out to them, and I get
nice.
But I don't know who's all producing these records.
Soul Selection. Soul Selection.
Yeah, I feel like everything right now is Mustard. Mustard just has
on the hip hop side is all Mustard.
Yeah, everything is Mustard right now.
Everything.
I'm not even mad at that right now, but probably next year I will be. It's always like that. Somebody comes, they have a sound, everybody copies it, and then nobody ever wants to hear it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So we're gonna end it off with a quote. Do you have a quote for the people?
What did I just? I'm gonna cheat. I just posted this on Instagram, and I normally don't post these inspirational quotes because sometimes I think it's corny, but this one sort of resonated with me. Hold on, I'm just gonna read it back. I'm
gonna pull up his phone.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up my phone and see.
He has a new iPhone 6, people.
I'm sure half the people in this room have one too. It says. Decide what it is you want, write that shit down, make a fucking plan, and work on it every single day.
Nice.
And that really it gets straight to the point of what this is about. The business is it's a difficult business to be in. You're gonna run into a lot of people who you don't like. You're gonna hear no more times than you probably would like. And for every 100 times you hear no, you may only hear one yes. So you need really thick skin. You have to be sure of what you're doing. You have to keep working on it, keep getting better. This business is not for the faint of heart, but if you can get past that, persistence will pay off. Always. Because eventually all the people who weren't any good will quit and go get regular jobs, and you'll still be there. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Nice. Thank you, DJ Swivel.
Thanks for your
no
time,
problem.
man.
Thank you guys. Thanks for coming out and waiting. Sorry.
Thank you, SAE. This is D Formalities, dformalities.com. We out.